Okay, it looks like we're live, so 1 second. All right, hey guys, this is Bradley with Semantic Mastery. I got Chris and Adam on again today. They're going to help me out as we go through the presentation. So I just wanted to welcome everybody here, and we got a lot to cover today. So I hope you're excited. I've been pretty excited about this Outsourcer training and releasing it to you guys. I've put a lot of work into this, and we're releasing the basic training today. And then we have some advanced modules that will be added to the Outsourcer training portal, as well as the Trello boards, which we'll get into in a minute. But we're going to add additional training to that over the next few weeks. It's very time consuming to get it set up, though, so I think what I'm going to give you guys today will be enough to get started. I'm sure of it. So we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to go ahead and take the screen without further ado. By the way, Adam and Chris, you guys might want to just jump in and say hi.
Not everybody at once, right? So, hey guys, this is Adam.
That's right. So, all right. Okay, so we're going to go over the Outsourcer training and the overview of the training portal. And this is what we're going to cover throughout the rest of the webinar, and then we're going to have Q&A at the end. But Trello, I'm going to introduce Trello to you guys for those of you that aren't aware of, do not have an account with Trello yet. We're going to walk through that, kind of just briefly how to set up an organization. Then these are the different steps that we're going to go through in more detail as we walk through the Trello presentation and how to get access to what we've created for you guys. Okay, so we're going to walk through that. Then we're going to talk about the Outsourcer training portal itself, because there's basically two entities here that you're going to have to deal with. Number one is Trello, which is the reason I did that is mainly for you guys who are going to be hiring the VAs. It's the best way to monitor their progress and also to determine whether or not they're valuable outsourcers or not. Because especially if you're using multiple outsourcers at one time, you can see which ones are performing better than others just by tracking their progress through Trello. So but the second part is the Outsourcer training portal, which is basically where all the videos are hosted, and that way it's also membership protected, so we can control how many people have access to it, and it protects our content, and it just is a great way to host the video. So we're going to walk through that too. I just set this up last weekend, so we've still got some bugs to work out as far as registration. We'll talk about that. That'll get polished up over the next few days. But we've got it at least ready for you guys. I've been trying to get this out to you as soon as possible. So, and then we're going to talk just briefly about the basic IAFTTT networks. Again, we're starting off with the basic training, which is plenty. These are all the properties that are going to be used for the basic training. Okay, so there's, I don't know, like 16 of them. So there's plenty here to get you started. And then the advanced training, which will add additional properties, and then also creating tiered networks, which we've talked about in the past. That's going to be added shortly. I'm not going to give you a deadline. I'm not going to set myself on a deadline just yet. It's very time consuming, but I do have most of that training ready already. It's just not formatted yet for you guys in Trello and in the Outsourcer training portal. So we're going to talk just about the different properties on the network and how this works. And then lastly, we're going to go over member Q&A. I know we've got a couple members in here that I told them to bring lots of questions today. So as soon as we're done running through all the Outsourcer training stuff, we're going to answer as many questions as we have time for. So I hope you brought lots of questions, because I'm anxious to answer them for you. So without further ado, let's get started. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about Trello. If you're not familiar with Trello, it is I guess it's a project management application. I guess that's what you would call it, and it's really, really cool. I had, for the longest time, been using Asana, and actually got introduced to Trello just, I don't know, about maybe 6 or 8 weeks ago, and I found it to be so much better. It's much more intuitive, and it's so much easier to track outsourcers and to keep track of where they are within the project. So with Trello, you just go set up a free account. You can actually log in just using your Google Plus account, so you don't even need to submit an email or whatever, and it will just automatically attach itself to your Gmail account. And so I'm going to jump into Trello and show you Once you're inside, edit your profile, do whatever it is you want to do to deck it out a little bit. I always try to do that so that people know who they're dealing with. But once you're inside, what you want to do is create an organization. That's the first thing you're going to want to do, is create an organization. And the way you do that is you click the plus button up here, and then you click on new organization. And so I'm just going to name this one demo. I'm going to call it the SM demo. Okay. You can put a description in there if you'd like. This is only for you to see anyways. I'm going to click create. All right, so then once you create the actual organization, that's how you can add additional people into the boards. Okay, so in other words, let me explain kind of the hierarchy of how Trello works. There's organizations, which is where you can have multiple boards, and a board is basically like a project. And then inside the project, you can have cards, and cards are like tasks for that project. Okay, and so we'll walk through that in a minute. I just want to give you an idea of like how the hierarchy works. So once you have the actual organization set up, and you can put a graphic there and all that kind of stuff, you want to go over to members, and from here you want to add a member, and this is when you're going to add your outsourcers in. Now, you can add them to the organization, which will make it easier if you're going to be adding additional boards into an organization. It just makes it easier to add them to them. Or you can just add your outsourcers directly to the boards and not add them to the organization at all. And again, it's just a matter of convenience. Okay, so personally, I would just go ahead and add a VA that I know that or expect to keep for some period of time to the organization. But I hope you don't mind, Adam. I'm going to use you as an example today on here. So once you're signed in or you have an account within Trello, if I start typing your name in there, or for example, if you have a outsourcer who's got the Trello account, once you start typing their name in, you should be able to find it from the drop down. Okay. So now that I've just added Adam, you can see he's now in this part of this organization, and I get to give him the different administration rights or permissions, as it's called, normal or admin. Okay, so as you being the employer, you should have the admin rights, or you will, and then I would only assign normal permissions to anybody that I add to the organization. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So, Adam, I've got you set as normal because I don't trust you. So anyways, that's how you add somebody to an organization. Now, the next thing is once you're in to Trello and you've actually you've got to notify me that you're or one of us at Semantic Mastery. You've got to notify one of us that you have signed up to Trello, so that I can add you to the board. And I'm going to go ahead and just jump over there now. Now that I've showed you how to create, or I'm sorry, add you to the organization. Now that I've showed you how to create an organization, I'm going to jump over to the organization that I have set up for this for you guys. Because let me explain what the steps are in this. Let me go back to the slides. So send us your Trello email. Preferably just send us your email. Like I said, I'd just suggest that you guys sign up with Google+. It just makes it easier that way. And you know, with Semantic Mastery, we pretty much handle everything in Google+ anyways. So that would be helpful. And in that way, what I can do is I can actually add you into the organization. And let me go back here. This is the SM Outsourcer training. So once I have your email, I can add you to the organization, and then what I'm going to do is, this is the actual board that you guys are going to get, okay? And it's called the Basic IFTTT Training Template, all right? And so if I click on this, you're going to see this is the entire, all the instructions for setting up and creating an IFTTT network, a basic network, from scratch. I mean, this is literally, you could take somebody fresh from Odesk or wherever you hire your VAs from and hand this to them who've never done this before, and they could set it up. And so, and you'll see, we'll go through the cards here in a minute, but what I want to do is show you that once I've added you to the organization, I'm going to come into this board, and I'm going to come over here where it says add members, and I'm going to type in you start typing in your name, and you're going to show up. I've already got Adam in here, so let me just remove him for a minute, and then I'll remove Hernan as well. And I'll just start from scratch. So what I'm going to do is I come in, and you can see that I have added Adam to this organization already, because you can see he's in SM Outsourcer Training Members. That's the organization, okay? The SM Outsourcer Training, you can see the organization name up here. So since I had already added him to this organization, all I got to do is click his name. Now he's been added to the board, all right? So once he's in with the board, you should receive a notification when I add you to this board, and which you should, you should receive a notification in Trello, and if you set up your notifications properly, it should send you an email as well, all right? And I'm going to give you guys 24 hours from the time you notify me that you have sent when you notify me of your Trello email. I'm going to add you guys and give you 24 hours to make a copy of the board, okay? And then I'm going to remove you from the organization. So just try to get it all done within the same day if possible. If something happens and you were unable to do it for some reason, obviously just let us know and we'll work it out again. But I need to limit who's in here. All right, so. But once I've added you to the actual board, the only thing that you need to do is jump in here and go to Menu, click on Menu, and then go to Copy Board, and then name it whatever you want to name it. I would suggest you call it Basic IFTTT Training Template, okay? And then push it into your organization, all right? Now remember, the first step that we just talked about was to create an organization. Once you sign into Trello, you create an account, to set up your account profile and all of that, notifications, everything else, is the first thing you want to do is create the organization. And the reason why is because once I add you to this board and you copy it, you're going to want to copy the board into your organization, okay? Then you click Create and make sure you just leave it as it is with keep cards and leave it as this board will be private. Guys, do not make these boards public. For God's sakes, do not make them public. Keep them private in your organization, all right? So you guys are paying for this, so make sure you keep it secured, all right? So once you create the board, now let's see, I'm going to go ahead and add it to the one, the SM demo, okay? So once you add, you create, it's going to copy. You're going to see it's going to automatically switch, and now this board, you're looking at this training template board in your own organization. And then once that's done, you can let me know. I said within 24 hours I'm going to remove you anyways, but if you don't mind, I would appreciate it if you would send us an email and say, hey, or a message in the G Plus group community and just say, hey, I've already copied the board, thanks. And that way I can just pull you out of that organization, okay? Because now you guys will have it in your own organization. All right, so now you can do what you want with it. It's except don't make it public. But my next point on that is what I would suggest that you do is to make a copy of the board template. All right, so you've already copied the board from my organization or from the Semantic Mastery organization into your own organization, but then I suggest you make a copy of this. Okay, so what you do for there is just come back over here, go to Menu, drop down, go to Copy Board, and then I would call it Copy or Backup. So, we could just say the Basic Training Backup or Copy or whatever you want to call it, okay? And the reason I say this, and you might even want to move that into another organization that you call like your backup organization or something like that. And the reason I say this is because what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to assign this board, make a copy of this board and assign it to each one of your virtual assistants. And in fact, until they get trained on how to do this, you might what I do is I take the board and I copy it in and make a copy of a fresh template board like this. Then I'll just retitle it. I'll get rid of the template, so it'll just be Basic IFTTT Training. And generally, what I'll do is I'll name it after the project. So like it'll be Basic IFTTT Training, YouTube channel or something like that. I'll name it after the domain name if it's for a blog. Okay. If it's after a specific YouTube channel, I'll give it the channel name there, something like that, so that I can identify which board it is for, which project it is for, okay? But then what I'll do is I'll assign the board to them, or I'll add the members, and that's the next part. You see where it says add members here? So once you've made a copy of the board, you want to add member and then start typing in your VA name, whoever you've invited into your organization should already be here anyways. But if you have not invited them into your organization, you can just start typing them in and add them here. Okay? But again, it just makes everything easier, in my opinion. It's more efficient if you just add them to the organization with normal permissions and not admin permissions. Okay? So, for example, I could add Adam, and now he's here. All right? But my point is that what I do is with the copy of the board, because I don't want to assign them the template, because then I've just lost my template. As soon as they start making changes to the board and moving stuff around and clicking all the check marks and the checklists, you're going to have to go undo all of that work. So that's why I said make a copy first. Then assign the copy to your board, or you make a backup, or whatever you want to call it. So then what you do is you have them go through the process, and we're going to walk through that very briefly in a moment. And then when they're done, instead of just having them, when on the next IFTTT network that they're going to start and build, I assign them a new copy of the board again, so it's fresh. Everything has been reset, okay? Because once again, and let me just explain why. So for example, you can see if I open up one of these cards, it's got notes about what the card is for, what this task is specifically, and here's a link over to the Outsourcer training portal, which is where the video is, the training video, and then if there's additional steps, they're down here in the checklist. And when you're training your VA, when you're giving this to your VA, what you need to tell them to do is to come into Trello, and there's one of the first, the very first card is using Trello. So when you assign them, get them signed into Trello, and you give them the board, you tell them just to go right down the list in order, and the first thing they're going to see is how to use Trello, and it explains to them that they need to click these checkboxes as they're going. Okay, and also let me uncheck that for a minute because I want to show you something, and it tells this in this video. Using Trello, they need to put that into doing. Okay, so when they're starting to do this card, first thing they do is grab the card and move it over to doing. Then they open it up, they click on the training video, they watch the training video, and they click the check mark, and then they click the "You are done," and they close it out, and they move it over to done. Then they go to the next one, bring it over to doing. Okay, and you can see that very quickly everything that they need is right here, and I've also duplicated, and I'm going to open that up in just a moment, the Outsourcer training portal. And you'll see any of these links that are listed here as attachments are also on the training video page. So there's some redundancy there so that